Mr. Bey, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Bey Soo Khiang. I'm the Vice Chairman of RGE. In my portfolio in RGE, I oversee sustainable development as well as continuous improvement and digital transformation. So RGE is a management company actually. We get assigned to oversee all the businesses of the family. April being one of the business. So I'm chairman of April as well. You know, in RGE, the businesses are basically from three verticals, we call it. One is a fiber plantation, which we grow trees, harvest them, and then we replant and then take the trees for production of various products. The other one is a palm oil, and we harvest the fruit from a palm oil to produce products as well. So our products are biodegradable, renewable, and it actually touches every facet of your life, from the time you wake up to take a shower, the shampoo could have palm oil, oleochemicals, right? You use a towel, it could have viscose, which is really from fiber plantation,
right.
rayon production. And then, of course, if you have a meal, margarine could contain palm oil as well, So, and you drive a car, that could be biodiesel in it.
Yeah, even right now, I think I have a bit of it. It's in my lipstick, isn't it?
Yes. And even some of the medicine fillers are made from fiber plantation material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for giving us a very quick background of RGE. Today we are actually at the Steward Leadership Summit, and there was a currency of the whole entire theme of values, the right approach for organizations, all organizations to look at, to build a collective better future. Now, I understand that RGE also operates on the foundation of the family values. I was wondering whether you could tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, RGE group of companies actually operate with the purpose of improving lives by managing resource sustainably. And we do that through what we call the 5C model. That means our business have to do good for community, for country, for climate, for customer, then it'll be good for the company. And these values are really sacrosanct in the way we do business.
And of course, one of the key projects, and we can see the whole backdrop booth that's here, it's of the RER project. Can you tell us a little bit more about RER project and the purpose of it?
Sure. So when we say do good for the country, do good for climate, one of our commitment is really to operate our concessions in a very sustainable way, which means for every license concession we are given, we convert only about half of the area. So what we do is for the high conservation value forests in the concession, we will conserve them and then we convert the rest around it to create a ring of plantations around this conservation forest. So this ring of plantation ends up protecting the conservation forest in a very effective way. In that way, we have a commitment, we call it the 1-to-1 or a nature neutral commitment, which means for every hectare of plantations, we want to have 1 hectare of conservation area. And RER was really part of that commitment because we bought over 4 production licenses from other owners. These were in the center of a Kampa Peninsula, surrounded by our plantations around, And after having bought them, we convert them to restoration licenses, which means there'll be no more production and the area is conserved effectively. And we are regrowing fauna and flora, as well as preserving the biodiversity and letting it grow naturally. So actually, we do are very concerned about biodiversities. So you can see one of the picture here, the tiger called Corina.
Yes.
Actually, there was a tiger some months ago, about 12 months ago, that was ensnared at some villages, outside our concessions, and the local authorities actually worked with us to rehabilitate the tiger. And after rehabilitation, we released it into our conservation area,
right,
to make sure that they're sufficiently protected, for the future. Yeah.
Right. No, it's wonderful to hear about the initiatives, and I think it's it's also the motivation that's coming from within to be able to serve the community needs better.
Yeah.
Because businesses definitely cannot thrive if the ecosystem around them is not thriving.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Now we know that palm oil and agriculture is a rather challenging industry.
Yes.
And how do you suggest that corporations can work better then with governments, with NGOs and other stakeholders?
So of course the government always have some guidelines and rules for the way we are supposed to operate the concessions, right? Where there are areas which the government are not very active, or kind of absence of a government. For instance, in the community area, we operate in very rural areas, right? The plantations, the estates are all in rural areas. And of course, it's difficult for the local government to provide, say, medical or clean water, electricity to the villages around. So we help the government in that sense by making this available for the villages since our estates are there. Also in terms of education, right? I mean, access to education in Indonesia is not an issue. But of course, we know that the quality of education in these remote areas, the schools in the remote areas, are somewhat a problem. So we help by improving the teaching skills of the teachers, even the leadership skills of the principals, and even helping them with the infrastructure of the school to improve the quality of education, essentially. And for students who are unable to go for further education due to financial difficulties, I mean, we do, sponsor them and fund them in terms of a scholarship for them to really have an education. And for the adults, what we do is, we want to improve their income level. So we bring them in to teach them how to be better farmers so that their yields can improve, right? And besides improvement of yield, we also work with them to have greater market access so they can sell the product at a higher price. All this is to make sure that their income level increase, and for women folks, we even have a batik industry. We train the ladies to do batik painting and all that, and so that they can go into the batik industry to sell the batik cloth. And as a company, we buy from them to help them and make uniforms of our staff, so to speak. All these are really trying to overall alleviate poverty in the rural areas, and in future we want to really eliminate extreme poverty in these areas.
I see. I think what you've just shared is also a very good example of what we at Stewardship Asia call the win-win-win scenario.
Yes.
Because the business must win, the people must win, and yet at the same time you are also protecting the environment. So that for us is really steward leadership in practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's even an example, right? Because we call this a fire-free village program. Right, because at the village level, during intercrop season, they have to clear land. And for them, the quickest, cheapest way is a match, right? And that's why they burn. And that's why seasonally, sometimes Singapore gets hit by haze as a result of it. We look at the issues and so we came up with a fire-free village program, which essentially, we go into the village, we appoint somebody at our own payroll to be chief fireman. And his job is to educate the villagers on the hazards of the haze to their health of children and the families.
Okay.
And we even put in a quality measuring instruments to show them what it means by bad air, so to speak. And of course, we have to provide them an alternative means to their match. So we provide them mechanical means, and the chief fireman kind of layers with us in this, right? And at the end of the dry season, if they are fire-free, we actually award them a $10,000 US worth of projects at the community level. We do not give them money, but we do the project for them, like for instance, building a road or a bridge, and so on and so forth. Now this is really a win-win situation because the farmers win because at the village level they get better air quality. The company gains because we find that this way of prevention rather than reacting to fires actually saves us money. You know, for every dollar I spend in prevention, actually I save about $5 from suppression. You know, and the country itself gains because, you know, it doesn't have haze. And even the neighbors like Singapore gains because of the reduced probability of a haze to Singapore as well.
Okay.
So it's really win-win-win all around.
Right.
You know, and this actually is a way to have to set about a permanent mindset change in them.
Yeah.
By not using fire. The reactive way of suppression is really every day, every year you just react to it, never change their habits, right? So the Fire-Free Village program is really a way for permanent change, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Were you able to take the benefits of this program and also probably share with other players within the industry, because then you help to uplift and bring everyone along?
So we started this program in 2013, you know, and expanded it along the way. And in 2015, you know, there was a big haze, big fires, but in our areas there's hardly any fire, right? And the government of Indonesia came to know about it and encouraged us to share our best practices. So we actually set up a Fire-Free Alliance where we invite companies, you know, to come into this forum where we can share how do we tackle this issue, how do we set up a Fire-Free Village program, you know, and that has benefited these companies, you know, they are palm oil companies or even other agricultural companies. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been taught from long time ago, it's always a input, output, very easy to achieve. Outcome is harder, impact is the hardest.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think it really takes a collective effort for you to be able to mobilize so the action can be seen and felt on the ground.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the issue of fire and haze, I mean, just our company alone is not good enough. We need other companies in the area as well, you know, to have this Fire-Free Village program so that the issue, there is no fires, you know, by farmers, you know.
Okay.
So collectively, you know, we can create a better collective future.
So can addressing existential challenges really be profitable?
Well, absolutely. I mean, one of the key ways to address the climate change is decarbonization, right? And a major part of decarbonization is really reduction in the excessive use of energy, right? And actually, we ourselves actually conducted a lot of projects, you know, to try and reduce excessive energy consumption. And that actually results, when you lower energy, you reduce carbon emission, and at the same time, you reduce the cost of doing business. Even for water consumption, right? When you reduce water consumption, you have less water to push around in the system, you require less energy, and the lower cost of production. So reduction of excessive energy use is clearly profitable from that perspective. Second example is when we committed to no deforestation in the future, in other words, no more conversion of forests into plantations. It forces us to really focus on improving the use of existing land. We call it intensification versus extensification. So by focusing on the yield of existing land, you know, we actually have, through our better practices, improved our yield by close to 25%. And that means there are more wood for production. That means increasing revenue and at the same time reducing costs for doing business. So definitely it contributes to profitability. And the third example is, of course, is what we call the Fire-Free Village program, right? Instead of spending money to suppress fire, we took the proactive approach of preventing fire. And we found that actually for every dollar I spend on prevention, I actually save $5 in terms of cost on suppression. You know, simple example, like if you really focus on suppression, you need helicopters on standby, you know, and you operate the helicopters, it costs money, right, during dry season. And so it's costly. And also at the same time, it's not very cost effective, right? Because when the haze comes, helicopters really cannot fly. So what do, you know? So overall considered, it's much better to focus on prevention. And that contributes to bottom line in terms of reducing costs as well, you know. So definitely, you know, focusing on addressing these threats improves bottom line and profitability. You know, and I will tell you, even like focusing on community, right? I mean, if we improve the education of the people in the community, we are able to hire people from the community. You know, and we don't have to go and recruit people from far away, so to speak. You know, and that again contributes to profitability as well.
Just to sum it up, based on what I've heard from you today, I think all aspects of what we say stewardship values, interdependence, long-term view, creative resilience, and ownership mentality actually does exist within the RGE model. I think particularly, like the ownership mentality shows that from the family founders' values is cascaded. Interdependence, it comes in when you recognize that the environment and humanity and business must coexist. And of course, in some of even the fire-free village is actually a true example of creative resilience in action.
Actually, yes. I mean, I only spoke about the purpose and the 5 C's. You know, actually, we have following that core values.
Oh, okay.
You know, we call it the topic. You know,
okay.
acronym.
Would you break that down for us?
T for complementary teamwork. You know, O for ownership. P for people development. I for integrity. C for customer. And the last C for continuous improvement.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a lot of parallel with that values, right? Because you talk about creative resilience.
Yes.
We are talking about continuous improvement. And our mantra for continuous improvement is that today must be better than yesterday. And tomorrow must be better than today.
Yes.
So there's always the desire, the want to improve through innovation or through better efficiency, better productivity, right? Ownership is the same thing because, you know, our owner wants us to feel that it's our business. We take ownership of issues, you know, we take ownership of dealing with the community and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and with the ownership mentality, the tendency is that you really then want to nurture, you want to grow, and you of course want to pass it on in a better condition than how you have received
Absolutely.
it, which is stewardship.
Absolutely, yeah. Even complementary teamwork is just not within the company, it's also with external stakeholders, NGO, civil society, and even local government and the villagers working together, you know, to create a better collective future.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bey, for sharing on the core values that exist within RGE. I think it really mirrors what we have, what we call the Steward Leadership Compass. This is something that we hope that all organizations can continue to work towards to have their own living compass as well to operate on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah.